Although the weather has been a bit unpredictable because although we've had record warm temperatures, the winds, the prevailing winds in the Channel have been in the wrong direction for quite a bit of the time in terms of actually pushing up the waves there and making it almost impassable for these small boats. So we haven't had the same kind of window that we did over the preceding months the year before. But already we're at this stage now of passing that 20,000 milestone of being at twice the number who crossed at this time last year. So that gives you the trajectory of where we're heading for the end of this year.
Now, I saw at the weekend there was one boat that got into trouble in French waters. The French Coast Guards picked it up and brought it back to France. Just how active is the French Coast Guard being in this situation? Well,
I think, to be fair to the French, they are reasonably active in the sense that if there are vessels that get into difficulties, they will intercede and try to help them.
But to many people, that would suggest that the French can see these boats going along, but they won't intercept them unless they get into trouble. They won't bring them back unless they get into trouble. They're waving them on their merry way in many situations.
That's their policy. They have taken the decision that they're not going to actively intercept and try and push the boats back to the shore because they see that as potentially something that could lead to a loss of life. If the boat was to capsize, people were to jump in the water, that's their policy. But enacting that policy, of course, that means that providing you manage to get offshore, you manage to push your boat beyond the waves, and you're not in any difficulty, you've got enough petrol in your outboard motor, then you're going to make it to the UK waters.
It's extraordinary. Even if a French Coast Guard officer was standing there on the beach, as long as that boat is in the water, they'll stand there and do nothing.
Well, we did see a slight change in policy last week with the French police on one beach, I should say, between Calais and Dunkirk. A number of officers went up to that boat and began stabbing it. But, of course, that was before it had gone into the water. It deflated, so it was obviously unable to go on that journey. That is a policy that will be welcomed by many. But it remains to be seen whether this is something that the French authorities will actually do as a matter of course now, or whether this was a one-off.
Now, one of the interesting points that organisations like Amnesty International have brought up around this is that the total number of illegal migrants to the United Kingdom hasn't moved that much in recent years. What's shifted is the way that they're coming. Fewer people stowing in the back of lorries, more people taking small boats. How should we interpret that through policy? Have we just been potentially too successful in stopping those lorry crossings?
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite true. The numbers coming across on irregular routes are growing. Yes, it would be fair to say that from its height, the numbers who are coming across on lorries has declined somewhat. But still, I think last year they had 9,000 people that were detected in the backs of lorries. How many made it through that weren't detected, that then offloaded when that lorry got to a filling station somewhere in the United Kingdom? Well, we don't really know. We know when it was a big issue before the boats became a real issue 3 years ago, that was the preferred route for the people smugglers. But then, of course, Border Force started putting in all the extra checks at Calais with the carbon dioxide samplers and things like that to tell if people were in the back of these lorries, and it became a lot more difficult to do that. But yeah, overall, the numbers coming through irregular routes, effectively illegally paying people smugglers to come across, is growing, and it's growing very significantly, double already what it was last year, which was more than double what it was the year before.
Huge.